There certainly are a ton of Rocket League tip videos on YouTube, and the majority of those focus on a single aspect of the game. Things like rotations, boost management, positioning, and so on. The problem a lot of players have then, though, is that they need to take each one of these individual videos and combine all of their tips into their gameplay to be able to do well at every aspect of the game at the same time. So in today's video, we'll be doing things a little bit differently. Rather than focusing on a single aspect of the game, we are going to be talking about what you can do to focus on as many aspects of the game as you can. So for today's video, we'll be talking through about 2 minutes worth of gameplay, which should give a pretty good idea into how you can do as good a job as possible of focusing on as much of the game as possible. Now, despite the fact that we are focusing on a lot of aspects, we're still going to simplify this as much as we can to make things as easy as possible. So to break this down, when our team does not have control of the ball, the question we always need to be asking ourselves is where can we put ourselves on the field to either make our opponent's life as difficult as possible or put ourselves in a good spot to support our team. And alternatively, when we are in possession of the ball, the question we need to ask ourselves is what we can do with it to make our opponent's lives as miserable as possible. We want to make sure we are putting them in as awkward a situation as we can in order to make it easier for us to score. So those are going to be the ideas that we're going to look for here as we kind of roll through this gameplay. But let's go ahead and get on going here with the kickoff from ourselves. And yes, this is our own gameplay here that we're looking at. So we go ahead and get this kickoff. Now immediately, we're not really in possession of this ball. It's kind of floating in the middle of the field. So naturally on kickoff, where can we go to be as supportive as possible for our team? Well, this ball is going to be bouncing off the wall. So let's just go ahead and grab this boost. And as we're grabbing this boost, it's important that we need to turn ball cam back on at some point in this movement, because once we grab this boost, we need to know whether we should be turning back towards our half or into our opponent's half. So we're going to go ahead and swing on over here. We turn ball cam back on as we pick up the boost, and we notice, okay, teammate is back on our own half. So with that knowledge, okay, where can we go to now make our opponent's life as difficult as possible, as well as support our team? Well, we don't want to just rotate back because that creates this massive gap between the ball and both of our defenders. So because we see our teammate all the way back there, let's go ahead and cut this field and start to apply pressure to our opponents. So that is how we know where we need to go on the field based on where our teammate is. So with that knowledge, we can go ahead and cut across and now get an immediate challenge on this play our opponents are attempting to develop, and we shut it down immediately. So now this one is kind of the opposite, as we can already see our teammate is moving forward here. So now in this situation, we do not want to cut across the field as our teammate has that area covered. So instead, we're just going to linger in this general area behind him to see how a challenge might play out over here. Because from a spot like this, we can turn back towards the net. We can keep moving up the field. It gives us a lot of options for where we can go after the next challenge plays out. So you'll see we're not going to move anywhere quickly because the ball is not going to be going anywhere overly quickly, kind of just floating in the middle of the field. So we'll just calmly move around. We see our teammate has possession. Again, we're just staying in a spot now where our teammate can give us a pass if he would like to. We see him go solo here. We're just going to go ahead and continue to chill out. And now right here is the very important moment where, again, it's all about where can we go to support our team as well as possible. Because right here, we can see that based on the angle of this guy's car, the ball is more than likely going to pinch over in this direction. So with that in mind, we are already going to position over here so that as the ball comes this way, we can immediately get on it and continue to apply pressure for our team. If we instead had either stayed just facing straight forward, or even worse, had turned this way, we would be giving the opponents a lot more time to recover before we would be able to get across the field. So that is all about reading the positioning of the cars involved in a challenge and deciphering that to determine where the ball is most likely to go. So you can see over here, we're already on this one for a challenge. A little bit awkward because our teammate is still here, but we're going to force some bumps back this way as we rotate back. That one, very obvious. The ball is just going in a straight line down the field. We're going to cause some issues for our opponents, and then get back in a pretty decently defendable spot. Right here, ball gonna get poked around, and you can see, again, we're not diving in anything, but now right here, we can immediately identify this guy going out of the play, this guy just recovering on the wall, so we do have the opportunity to challenge this ball, and we want to stay close in this area here throughout this, because none of the opponents had a whole lot of momentum on their car, so the possibility of them booming a shot so hard on net that from a spot like this we can't get back to save it is very minimal. So instead, we just kind of chill out, wait to see what happens, and now we are rewarded with a free ball here that we actually get a pinch with our teammate and pop over the top. So now this one's a little bit tricky because our teammate is grabbing the mid boost on the other side of the field. Again, based on the positioning of our opponent's car here, it looks like he might be working the ball over in that direction. So we're going to be a little bit patient in how we move up the field. But as soon as we see a catch anywhere in our general direction, we're going to go ahead and pounce on it. So we are moving supersonic here, but as our teammate moves forward for this challenge, we can assume that this guy is going to attempt to play the ball this way. So we'll start to turn off that direction in case our teammate gets beat on this ensuing challenge. So you can see our teammate does indeed get beat, but because of our positioning here to already turn based off of where the play was going, we are already in the perfect spot to immediately dive in on this once again and put in another 50. Now, as we rotate back here, we can see that this ball is going to be going in this direction. Well, our teammate's already in that spot, and he'll be able to turn and cover that area. So the last thing we want to do in these spots is create more havoc for our teammate as he's trying to work the ball out of our own half. So these are the opportunities where we want to rotate a bit wider. We want to make sure we have this area of the field covered in case there's any infield passes coming, but we also want to be able to rotate wide around towards the back post so that as our teammate works this ball back out, we can follow it up, and then if our teammate does get beat, we are in an easily defendable spot at the back post there to get another clear. So that is the idea in these positions here, where we want to just focus on rotating to where we can be supportive for our team, which is not directly down the field towards this ball, but it is instead a little bit wider. And you can see here that as our teammate gets this challenge, now we can turn very quickly and put in another challenge and get this ball off target. So we go ahead and get that save there simply because of our positioning in that situation. So now again, ball is just kind of floating in no man's land. Our teammate is challenging, but there's really no threat of the ball going back into our own half. So we can sneak out here and grab some boost, and then we're going to immediately swing around into a spot that we can be a passing option. So if we had instead just continued to run forward, we're not really doing anything in this area. So instead we grab the boost, swing back around, and now we can be in this middle of the field area over here. And actually you guys can't see that because of the face cam, but we'll be in the middle of the field over here, ready for this ball to come around the backboard. We want to give ourselves this angle as well, so that we actually have space between ourselves and the ball, so that we can attack the ball with momentum when the opportunity possibly falls to us. We want to make sure we're also pulling back a little bit for the same reason, because momentum when challenging the ball is very useful. Which we'll see here, we can go ahead and attack the ball with momentum. Unfortunately, we just don't quite get up into the air high enough, but this overall play here is very good. We give ourselves the space between the ball and ourselves so we can move forward with momentum. As soon as the opportunity presents itself, we are already moving in the right direction to attack this ball, and we can just go ahead and pounce on it. Again, unfortunately, just a little bit too high. Now, our teammate does have an immediate challenge coming in. So based on this, we can see, again, positioning of the cars, ball more than likely going to end up going this way based on what's happening. Now, there really is no threat of this ball being immediately in our net, and we do have 55 boost. So there's no reason that we need to immediately from this spot start scrambling back towards our own half. Again, question, where can we put ourselves to best support our team? Well, it's certainly not going to be back in our own half because there is a 50-50 happening here. So rather, we kind of just want to linger in this general area, not too far away from the play, but also not too close, so that if the opportunity presents itself, we can turn on the ball quickly. And that is all about identifying where the challenge is most likely to go, so you can position yourselves accordingly. So right here, ball pinches over to the side. You can see we're actually still in a perfect spot to be able to turn on this ball, simply because we did not run away from this play and get scared by that oncoming challenge. We know we have the opponents in a bit of an awkward spot because if we flash back to here, Best Legend gets bumped out of the play. Alex goes flying as well as he dives at that challenge. So we know Alex is somewhere off the screen over in this direction. So with that in mind, as this ball bounces off the wall, we still know that Alex is somewhere behind us. So with that knowledge, we also know that we have the opportunity to challenge this ball, especially because we also can hear Alex jumping from right behind us, which is very important info to know. Because now we can just go ahead and jump up for this ball nice and confidently, slap this one over the top, and we go ahead and secure that first goal, purely because we identified where the play was going and kept ourselves in an effective spot to be able to capitalize on it. That really is the big thing, especially on offense. You want to make sure you keep yourself in a spot to support your team, as well as keeping yourselves in positions where you make life as difficult as possible for your opponents. So, 1 minute in, we already have the 1-goal lead. Let's see how things transpire from here. So, another decent kickoff. Gonna immediately go forward and take this next challenge. Yes, the opponents are challenging the ball as well, but there's absolutely no reason for us to run away from this play. So, take the 50, see what happens. A little bit of an unfortunate bounce. Now, it's important right here that we could absolutely just try to beeline back towards the net, but there's really nothing we can do for this ball based on where we are on the field. We're simply too far out of the play. So in these spots, we want to make sure that if our teammate is able to make a save, we want to be sure to get back with enough boost to be able to help him out once we get there. So even though this is very dangerous, we are going to take the time to get the boost. And as you can see, our teammate does do a fantastic job of getting back. And now because he has this touch, and now we have boost, we have the opportunity to further support him as this ball bounces high into the air. If we had just beelined back right away with barely any boost, when this touch came out, we would not have had the resources to be able to support him with any follow-up touches, and this ball would have just been floating in a very awkward spot. So when you notice that it is a bit of a dangerous situation, but even if you rush back as fast as possible, you are not going to be able to support your team very well, it is beneficial to take the couple extra seconds to go grab that big boost to make sure that you are able to support your team when the opportunity does present itself. As we're going to see right here, because as we play forward, we can see now that we can easily jump up, and our teammate did have 0 boost on the backboard, so if we weren't able to jump up here, it would be a very awkward situation defensively. But instead, we get a very easy clear out, and now we're going to land with pretty low boost. But again, our job at this point is to try to make our opponent's lives as difficult as possible. So yes, we could just go ahead and like grab some pads over here somewhere and just kind of leave the play. But instead, we want to apply pressure to these guys as much as possible. So we're going to go ahead and push forward. Even on low boost, we're going to continue to try to make their lives difficult by not allowing them space on the field to work with. So we'll just rush on forward here. We can bait out an interesting touch from them, but that ball does just fall for free then back to our teammate. And now we can go ahead and swing across, as again, there's really no big threat of this ball being boomed too far down the field, but you can see, because we know that this opponent is on the backboard, that we have started to work out this direction, because we don't want to allow any free clear to be overly dangerous. So yes, this ball might go over to the side, but we also want to cover the more dangerous option, which is it being punted back downfield. And again, if this ball does go to the side by moving out in this direction, we give ourselves a bit of space to play with between where the ball is most likely to bounce and where our car will be, so that if an opportunity does present itself, we can quickly turn on it and challenge the ball once again, rather than just sticking along the back wall and not really being able to make a play if they do have somewhat of a loose touch. So this space is very important, but we can see he's now going to the side, so we immediately turn in that direction, and again, all about reading the positioning of the opponent here. He's sending the ball that way, so okay, we're going to go ahead and play off that information. And you can see here that we just go ahead, and the importance here is reading where this ball is bouncing, because these are tough. So the question is it hitting the corner or is it hitting the wall? If it's hitting the corner, we want to stay further out because it's going to bounce out towards us. If it's hitting the flat wall, we want to be able to turn aggressively to play the bounce coming back mid. So this is one that is a bit tough because it is all about reading a bounce fairly quickly. But you can see that we are staying in still somewhat of a neutral position, because from here, If it hits the corner, we're still able to attack that. If it hits the flat of the wall, we're able to turn quickly and attack that. You can see we make the read of the flat bounce. We go ahead and challenge early, and we get the beat over the top of Alex. And that's all because we gave ourselves that space to turn aggressively with momentum based on where that ball was bouncing. As you guys can see, you really don't need to focus on every individual element of Rocket League, because a lot of them are intertwined with those two simple goals. Be in a spot to support your team, and be in positions to make your opponent's lives as difficult as possible. And the key to knowing where to put ourselves to accomplish those goals all comes down to reading where the ball is going based on the positioning of the other cars around the field. If you focus on these three things, it will be easier to capitalize on opportunities on your opponent's net, easier to keep your opponents out of your own net, and overall easier to win more games. Of course, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate each and every one of you who made it to this point in the video, and I do hope you enjoyed it and found it helpful. If you did, make sure you click that subscribe button right down below so you make sure you don't miss any future Rocket League content. Additionally, if you'd like to be a bit more involved in the community we're building here, feel free to join my Discord, which I'll have linked down in the description. And as always, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. See you later, guys.